Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lisa and you're watching the most non-random channel on YouTube. And if you're here, you really need this information. Today's topic is very important. It's fasting. I'm going to tell you what is this fasting, how does it work, and what are the benefits of fasting. This video is a logical continuation of my two first videos about my depression, how I cured this terrible disease. There's a link here, and fasting helped me to establish a new state of my body and my mind after I got out of depression. But before telling you what is so cool about fasting, I'm going to tell you a story how I first heard about this practice and why I decided to make this experiment with my body at first time. I was only 23 years old when I noticed that my body is like a sack of potatoes. Yes, that I'm catching cold literally once a month, that I have this high temperature and pain in bones and runny nose and so on. I couldn't understand why I had this low blood pressure almost all day long, especially at the daytime at my work. I was working 5 days a week from 9 to 5. And in the evenings and on the weekends, I preferred to sleep. Because if I wasn't sleeping, usually I was making music or I was attending Japanese lessons, but nothing brought me pleasure. I gave up all my bad habits like smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, because I considered them as the main reasons of my bad health. But I've still been eating something like fast food from time to time, and of course my favorite bacon made of white flour. But my weight was okay. I've never was more than 121 pounds in my life, and I was making sports. Eating red meat or beef couldn't save me from anemia. I had these problems with hemoglobin since I'm 14 years old. I visited specialists of all kinds, starting from neurologists to gynecologists, and finally I became a real hypochondriac because I was guessing what is wrong with my body. Why I'm so weak? Maybe I have cancer or AIDS. A big disappointment came to me when I visited a doctor who was making ultrasound of my genitals. It was a corpulent old lady. I asked her, please tell me what is the real risk to have cancer of boobs or genitals at my age, 25 years old. And she answered irritably, stop thinking about this shit. You better go and get married as soon as possible and give birth to a baby, and there will be no time to think about this shit. The saddest but very correct conclusion I made after this visit is that my health is my responsibility and I can't rely on pills or doctors, because doctors, most of all, they think that if I'm young, I shouldn't have any problems with my health. You know how the Japanese people think? I was working at Japanese companies for 5 years and I know for sure. They think that if you passed your job due to illness, you're guilty for the improper care of yourself. And I will agree with them, but only partly, because what shall we do with this total ignorance of people who believe TV, and TV is telling them that the best measure to fight with the common cold is cold drinks. And when I finally reached this point, when I was fed up with the state of my body, I decided to make my own research as usual on YouTube and in books. And I heard about vegetarians many times in my life. But I thought they are not eating meat only due to ethical reasons. And everybody, doctors and mom, were telling me that I should eat meat because of my low level of hemoglobin. And after reading the article of Lev Tolstoy, great Russian philosopher and writer, a visit to a slaughterhouse, and I read about this inhuman actions with cows who were crying before being slaughtered, I thought it's enough for me, and I threw away all barbecue out of my fridge. Have I ever thought that killing animals is not very good? Yes, as every human being, I guess. But I didn't associate the cutlet on my plate with this murder. After I had become vegetarian, it was sincerely very easy for me because I never lacked meat so far. I thought, ethics okay, but what is going to give me this guarantee that I won't be catching cold so often? And my research led me to one of the most important books of my life. It's books by Vadim Zeland. He translated his books on English. I know I saw on Amazon, several of them. The conception is called reality transurfing, and the books are A Rustle of Morning Stars, The Space of Variations, and A Head to the Past. The main idea of these books, I won't be telling so much because I want to shoot another video about Vadim Zeland and his books, is something like Secret. You remember this film and book, Secret, but much more better, because it's more deeper and with different like life hacks and explanations from the point of view of physicists. Okay, I won't be losing our time and moving next. From this book I also found out about the raw vegan nutrition, and guess what I have done? Yes, I threw away all food except vegetables, raw vegetables and fruits from my fridge. And it was a mistake because I was fanatic. And you know, it's very hard to keep this discipline because it's hard to eat only fresh, raw vegetables and fruits. And I hated people who was eating everything they wanted. And this experience deserves a separate video. So please subscribe, and I hope in the nearest future I will shoot video about raw vegans. So finally I learned about breatharians. Ta-da! People who are living only on prana, making exhale, inhale. Some of them are drinking water, someone not. But first time in my life I accepted this possibility. I must stress possibility that we don't need food at all. I haven't checked yet because I spent maximum 15 days without meals. But many breatharians are telling us that food is nothing but drugs and we are addicted. So you can check. How can you check? You should eat something very hard before you go into sleep, and probably in the morning you will feel something like hangover. I checked it when I was raw vegan. I ate some bakery before I went to my night sleep, and I woke up with this hangover, headache, and with a swollen face.
To prevent a hangover, I just gotta eat this peanut butter.
And I found several books by Soviet authors who were describing how they cured patients such kind of diseases like obesity, asthma and mental disorders at the Soviet hospitals. But unfortunately these books by Steleshnikov and Nikolai Lebedev are not translated into English. But I found very cool alternatives. You can purchase them on Amazon. And the first book is The Complete Guide to Fasting: Heal Your Body Through Intermittent, Alternate Day and Extended Fasting by Jason Funk and Jimmy Moore. And of course the ancient book of Arnold Ehret, Mucusless Diet Healing System. He wrote this book in the beginning of 20th century. So what we can see here, people from different epochs knew about fasting, not mentioning Jesus Christ, who had passed during 80 days in desert and finally reached enlightenment. I read all these books and I made my conclusions that fasting is nothing but natural reaction of our body on long intoxication. It's like the general cleansing of our house. Just imagine we are eating every day since our birth, several times a day, and our internal digestive system working hard to clean our body from the excess foods and this kind of chemistry like carcinogens, dyes and glutens coming with food, polluted air and water. So our digestive system has no rest at all, only during night sleep around 8 hours. And this 8 hours is nothing but, you guessed it, it's dry fasting. But of course, it's too short rest for cleaning our body completely. And if we look at nature, what would we see? Especially at domestic animals. If they feel bad, they are fasting. When I was a child, my grandmother had a dog called Rex. And Rex sometimes refused to eat during 5 days or something like this. We were in panic, expecting him to die, but each time he recovered. And of course, the latest news, in 2016, a Japanese scientist, Yosinori Osumi, was awarded Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine for his research of autophagy process in food yeast. In his researching, it was found that fasting positively affects on cells' renewal process, and it slows down the aging process in cells. You know, I don't want to bore you with the scientific terms, but I need to explain what is autophagy. Autophagy, this is a process of recycling unnecessary parts of cells. From the Greek language, we can translate it like self-eating. It means that each cell of our body has this mechanism. It's getting rid of unnecessary parts, unnecessary organelles, and finally our body destroys these bad cells and build new one. More than 60 years passed since this ability of cells has been discovered, but only in 2016 Yosinori Osumi has found some kind of genes which are responsible for this autophagy process. And moreover, he found out that this kind of genes exists not only in food yeast, but in the bodies of animals and humans. In general, autophagy is this process responsible for the ability of our body to renew, to fight some kind of infections and to remove toxins. And it's known when infection attacks our body, cell tries to digest this bacteria and uses the same mechanism and the same proteins like during the process of autophagy. And if we have this malfunction of autophagy, we can receive Alzheimer, cancer, and the second type of diabetes. What conclusion we can make from this information? First of all, that autophagy process caused by fasting can help us in our fighting with the cancer. Yes, because during autophagy, our cells will be recognizing the cell which is damaged by cancer and destroy it and renew our body. I want to remind you about your own responsibility for your health and push on the button of critical mind in your head and ask, what if this education, medical education at the universities, is not ideal? What if doctors are suggesting us to buy this expensive medication just because they are told to suggest us this? I'm not hinting on the conspiracy theory because I don't believe in reptiloids. Maybe. But I guess that fasting doesn't need any money. It's for free. But nobody suggests us to try fasting. In the ancient times, Hippocrates and Avicenna were telling nobody can cure disease which cannot be cured by fasting. Okay, finished with this, and now I want to tell you about the benefits of fasting. I've tried different types of fasting in my life, on water, without water, on herbal mixture by the system of Marva Ohanyan, but these methods will be described in the next video. Yes, so subscribe. Okay, the positive moments of fasting which I noticed. Feeling of lightness. Yeah, I'm flying like a bird without food. Shining clean skin. Probably, possibly. Yes, I guess so. Overweight leaves your body. Of course, but it's a big risk to eat much more after you finished your fasting. Your metabolism normalizes. Yes. You become much more picky about what you are eating. And you no longer want to eat some kind of chips or kind of chemistry at least. And age reversing effect, of course I can't check it because I'm only 30, but time will show. Maybe Jared Leto is making fasting, that's why he's looking like 25 years guy. And finally, the best point is fasting cures us from diseases, especially connected with our digestive system and respiratory tract. Okay guys, that's all for today. I just want you to not to be concentrated on your nutrition, on fasting or not fasting, raw vegan, no raw vegan. It doesn't matter. Please concentrate on your favorite job, on nature, on friends, because there are a lot of beautiful things in the world. If you decided to fast, please find some kind of specialist, naturopath, who will supervise you in this process. Because I had experience of 5 times in my life, and it's not enough to become a specialist. And of course, I have not this kind of diseases like cancer or third type of diabetes or heart malfunction. And I know that it's very risky to fast if you have some problems with heart especially. But also I heard the information that cancer of blood, lymphoma, can be easily cured by fasting. So listen to your inner voice, your intuition, and make your own decisions. Stay true and kind. The rest things, never mind.